Hey everybody, it's Scotty from Scotty's Record Shop with another artist profile. But before I get into this big mess that I've got myself into, I want to, as always, thank everybody who's watching, everybody who's subscribing. It really, I don't want to minimize it. It really does mean a lot to me, and it's just wonderful knowing that there are people out there who are checking out these things that I do. Because it does take a little time to prepare these things, and for those of you who are into buying records, you know sometimes it's a bottomless pit, isn't it, guys? You know, never have enough money, never have enough time. Anyway, this artist profile is a retake because I did a two-parter when I first got into YouTube. I don't know. Well, I got into YouTube last, September, I think it was, into the YouTube vinyl community. And tried posting. Back then, I wasn't a verified member, so I could only post videos like 10 or 15 minutes. And I thought the first part of this artist profile got posted. Never even thought twice about it. Went back a couple days ago just to check out some of my old videos and see how they were doing, if people were still watching them or whatever. And noticed that the first part of this video never got posted. So if you ever looked up my artist profile of this group, all you ever got was part 2. It was kind of weird and kind of a drag. Now that I'm a verified member, yay, I can talk for hours and hours and hours. This one is going to take a while, not hours, but I'll do my best to blow through it. Okay? Okay. The group, if you saw it in the title, obviously, is the Bee Gees. A group that's been through many, 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 many changes. I'm only going to look at, for the most part, only going to look at the U.S. albums. There's one Canadian pressing that I'm going to sneak in just because I'm that way. So, alrighty, let's get this thing done. Let me put the old mousey down. Maybe here. Let me move that over a little bit. I can't see what I'm doing. Alright, heck with that. So let's do this, kids. There. Okay, good enough. It's going to have to be. First U.S. album, 1967. This is a stereo pressing of this, an original pressing. I'm going to try to go through this, kind of, because there's like 30 albums probably here that I have. And this is the Atco label that this was originally on. A wonderful album too, if you ever get a chance to pick it up. It's been reissued more than once. There's now a CD version of this that has the stereo mix and the studio mix, and it's really not that much money. So, next album we get from the Bee Gees is Horizontal. Again, if you notice on this cover, there's more than 3 Bee Gees. There are 2 other members here that would leave fairly shortly. This has got the original Atco sleeve right here. As you can see, that's what those look like back then. And what I really should be doing is pulling the vinyl out and making a stack, but I'm lazy, I guess. I don't know. And again, there's your Atco pressing. Now we have Idea, 1968 as well. I'll just show you. This is not an original pressing. This is a second pressing of it on that Atco label, early 70s Atco label. I don't freak out too much about is it an original pressing, as long as it's in fairly decent shape. I like getting original pressings, but anyway. By this point in time, the other 2 members of the band were kind of gone, from my understanding. It was just the brothers and studio people. This is an interesting album, and we'll see this more than once, too. This is Odessa, and this is the felt. As you can see, it's kind of got almost like a felty ring wear. It's kind of weird how that happens, isn't it? But this is a really cool textured and kind of dirty album. Velour, or whatever that would be. The Bee Gees broke up at this point in time. Robin Gibb was really using a lot of drugs, and there was a lot of problems. Family actually was thinking about committing him because of his drug abuse and his crazy behavior. And there would be an album with just the 2 brothers in a little bit. The Bee Gees were recording stuff prior to 1967. They put out an album called Spicks and Specs, in '66, and there was an album that came out and 64 or so in Australia that had some singles and stuff like that. And you can find those on the internet as far as downloading them and stuff. But the actual albums are really, really tough to find. But Atco, trying to get money, decided to issue, they actually issued 3 of these. Rare, what are these called? Rare, Precious, and Beautiful. Yeah. And these were actually, this is the, this was around 1970 or so. 69, 70. So there's your label for that. There's 3 of these. There's 1 and 2. I do not have 3. I've never seen 3 before. If I find it, I'll pick it up. But again, these are older Bee Gees tracks from 66 and before. Again, we're capitalizing here. Bee Gees' greatest hits. I'm going to show you every label because, again, this is Atco. It's that. Okay, you know the label. The brothers Morris, and Barry decided to put out an album themselves without Robin, and quite honestly, it's a good album. It gets overlooked all the time. It's called Cucumber Castles. It's a weird name, weird cover, but really, it showed what these 2 guys could do. Great album. It's also on the Atco label. 1970 for that one. The brothers decided to get back to, actually, let me show you this one first. Let me do this, okay? This is the French copy, a double LP called The Greatest Hits, or Best of, I'm sorry. And me living so close to Canada, things like this show up every once in a while. Cool thing about this one is you won't be able to see it necessarily, but on Canadian pressings, they don't say side 1. They say face 1, face 2, stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. This, just in case you really wanted to know, it's pretty much a plain inner sleeve, but nothing too spectacular for that record. I'm not sure if I showed you the inside, so I'll show you the inside of it. There we go. Okay, now we move on to the Bee Gees getting back together and doing fairly well in 1971. 2 years on. Or gone. Is it on? 2 years on. That's right there. Gatefold as well. On Atco. Nothing spectacular about the inner sleeve, and again, it's on the Atco. That's an original label for that. Then we get Trafalgar. I believe that's how it's pronounced. That's how I've always pronounced it since way, way back when. Let me fix this. Trafalgar, another Gatefold album. Just for all of you who are into posters and things, I don't think any of these came with posters. I don't believe. Again, I didn't buy some of these when they came out in the original album. I'm not really sure. Some of these I got later in life. Okay. In 1972, they left Atco and went with their manager's new record label. They were managed by Robert Stigwood, and he started a new label in 72, 73 called RSO. And to kick it all off, they issued a Best of Volume 2 with the label. And, there's the old cash cow, his cash cow that he had on his label. And this is an okay collection. It's kind of getting overkill as far as best ofs are concerned with these guys, but okay, now we're getting into 73. Okay, 72ish. Oh, you know what? I jumped the gun, guys. I'm sorry. I had one more album to do. So these are not exactly in order. This is 72. Okay, this one was from 72 as well. There's the back of that. And at that point in time, somebody had written there. Please, when you own an album and then you sell it to me, don't write your name on the label. Thank you. Anyway, and then of course the best of came after that, just in case there's any confusion there. Then we get the first album of real new music. We get Life Within Jam. This is a really cool, I can't, it's a textured kind of label type thing. The guys are kind of in a can at the gatefold. Interesting cover for that. And again, the inner sleeve. I'm pretty sure this is the original. Looks like it's an Atlantic sleeve, so again, it's on the kind of a little bit darker RSO label. A little bit of a different shade of tan. The earlier pressings were, not by much, but okay, now we move on to an album I can't show you other than the cover, Mr. Natural. Why? Because my copy is sealed, and it's going to stay that way. A copy of Mr. Natural. I have it on disc. And it's in the computer anytime I want to listen to it. Now, this album was an interesting album because this was the first attempt of Barry Gibb doing his falsetto voice and kind of trying to copy or mimic the R&B kind of sound. Nothing on this really hit big. Bee Gees had a dry period as far as 73 and 74. These two albums, really, this one and this one, really didn't do all that well commercially. The singles all kind of flopped. Not that they were bad, but they flopped. 1975 was when the Bee Gees took off. I love this cover. I think it's so cool. It took a while. I was looking at this, and I don't know why it just never got to me. Main course, and there's this pretty young lady sitting in a spoon. So anyway, that cover. This has Jive Talkin'. This has Nights on Broadway. This is just another single off of this. A couple of singles actually, but so label. Oh, fix this. My screensaver kicked in. I love that screensaver. That's the original cover to that. Again, as some of the artist profiles that I'm going to do are not going to be quite this long. I apologize again for the length of this, but go on, get in there. But in some cases, like the Bee Gees, they're a fairly important group, as far as music is concerned. 70s anyway. Okay, Children of the World, 1976. At this point in time, they were doing really, really well. There's your original inner sleeve for that one. And again, it's on the RSO label. All of these are on RSO, unless noted. So another atypical, mid 70s Bee Gees album, very disco, but really well produced. By this point in time, they had the production thing going really, really well. In 76, Robert Stigwood's I'm going to make some money off these guys, like he wasn't making money off these guys already. Remember this album? Odessa. The only difference between that and this one, obviously it's not the textured label, cover I mean, but it's also a single album. They cut her down to a single label, a single record, and picked what they thought were the best tracks off the album. It was kind of hard to come by. It wasn't, it kind of came and went. So, and a best of, or Bee Gees Gold, Volume 1. This is just another collection of the early works that was on Atco. Nice inner sleeve on that one. But obviously on this case, with the cash cow happening. Stigwood really marketed these guys well. Made a lot of money off the Bee Gees. 1977. They were working on a new album. Robert Stigwood said, I'm making a movie. I want to use your songs. He took all the songs. So the guys are like, what are we going to do? He says, well, mix a live album or something. All right, here we go. We get a live album from the Bee Gees. I'm pretty sure this one did not come with a with a poster, but it may have. I don't know. Someday I'll have to look again on that label right there, the cash cow. Well, Stigwood knew what he was doing because the songs he stole for this movie did okay. Anybody recognize this? Saturday Night Fever. Millions and millions of copies of this were sold. Millions and millions and millions. A friend of mine, Barry Scott, he does a radio show up in New England. Syndicated show. Lost 45s. Great show if you ever want to look it up. Anyway, Barry just had a dance party thing. He does something every year. And he invited Danny Terrio, the guy who taught John Travolta up to Boston. I wish I could have gone down there to party with them a little bit. But he had Danny Terrio showing dance moves and playing music and everything. I guess it was a really good time. Those of you who live in Boston probably know about Barry's show. The Lost 45s. But anyway, there's a plug. Another soundtrack. Ooh. You know what? The music on this wasn't bad, really, in my opinion. The movie bombed. It really did. Let me show you inner sleeve. This. A lot of great groups on here. A lot of great groups. And again, it was on the Cash Cow label. Aerosmith, Earth, Wind and Fire, Alice Cooper. Just a great. Of course, the Bee Gees, that's why I'm showing it. And a lot of people starred in that movie. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. So, 1979, we get Spirits Having Flown. I really like this album. I just, one of those, 13, 14 years old, and I just really dug it. Again, it's just on that same Cash Cow label I'm not going to show you. 1980, towards the end of their really big fame here in America. They stayed popular around the world for years after this, but after disco died, America really kind of blamed them. Took it out on the Bee Gees. This is a great album, greatest. It only deals with the disco stuff. And each cover, each label, had a custom label, it had each of the members on the band. It's really kind of cool. They actually remade the Andy Gibb song, Our Love, Don't Throw It All Away, from Shadow Dancing. They redid that and issued it as a single off of this, and it did quite well. 1981, they crashed. They hit a big brick wall here in America with this album. Living Eyes. The inner sleeve to that, just a lyric inner sleeve. A couple singles issued off this, none of them really did good. He's a Liar. There was just something odd about this record that just didn't quite work, in my personal opinion. I'll show you this again because it's a gatefold. There's something about that just didn't click here in America. Again, you heard Bee Gees and it's like, oh no, it's disco. To pour more salt into the wound, the Bee Gees decided to connect with another movie related to Saturday Night Fever. Really a stupid move. Staying Alive. The soundtrack to Staying Alive. And this has got some serious issues. Anyway, needs to be cleaned up. This bombed. But just for a sake, the RSO label had changed. I need to clean this. This has got something all over it. Needs a bath. That was a bad move for them. Just one more. They kind of, by the mid to late 80s, they kind of had gotten a little bit of forgiveness from the American record public, buying public. ESP, this was a great album, really, for what it was. This is a promo, as you can see, a promotional copy. And at this point in time, they had, I'll show you the inner label, they had switched to, what was it, Warner Brothers? Yeah, Warner Brothers. There we go. One more album that's, I don't think really was issued much in America. I've never seen it on vinyl here, was One, which came out in, 89-ish or so. That was a great album, too, for what it was. Just two more things, kind of to end this, kind of as a joke almost, but to show how popular Bee Gees were. Um, the Bee Gees songbook. It's from an incredibly wonderful label, Pickwick. Of course, none of these songs were the Bee Gees, of course, singing them, but in the 70s, everybody was trying to make money from the Bee Gees. Just one more example of that before I say goodbye is this one on Pickwick as well. Sounds like the Bee Gees, and it kind of sort of does, but why did you want to buy this crap when you could have bought a regular Bee Gees album? Just wanted to show you the 70s Pickwick label. So, anyway, I know that one ran a little long too, but I hope you enjoy it. And any questions, comments, concerns, if I've gotten something wrong, please feel free to correct me, because Lord knows, we're all learning in this. So, anyway, until next time, everybody, peace and love.